Now honestly, I'm torn over the Motorola Edge 50 Ultra. Sometimes I really like it, sometimes I just want to belt it right in its metaphorical danglies. The Motorola Edge 50 Ultra is 849 quid's worth of pocket-sized tech, sporting all kinds of great features like the never not brilliant karate chop torch action. But it also cuts a couple of corners here and there, and it can be a wee bit, how do you say, janky as f***. Now I've had my Sims stuffed inside of the Edge 50 Ultra for just under a week now, so here's my in-depth review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now I've got to say, I am still slightly disappointed I didn't get the wooden version of this blower, but I do like the dreamily soft fake leather finish of this model. Feels rather lovely against my calloused palms. And that textured surface also provides some rather excellent grip as well, whereas the woody one would probably be dive bombing off the arm of your sofa about 5 seconds after you set it down. However, that fake leathery surface does seem to be the best mate of pocket fluff and other tiny wee bits of scum that attach themselves and cling to that arse end like clag nuts. And it sometimes takes some serious picking and scraping to get those bits all off. Still, this phone definitely has a premium vibe, from the supremely skinny aluminium frame to the gentle slope of the camera bump. Although it is interesting that Motorola is stuck with a curved screen, while most rivals, including Samsung, are now going flat for their flagships. I mean, you've certainly got very skinny bezels surrounding that screen as a result, and the Edge 50 Ultra is comfortable to clutch with the lack of flat edges and sharp corners. Unfortunately, however, the edges of the screen are overly sensitive to touch, so it occasionally balked up if I was splayed on my back, on the sofa, in bed, wherever, just clutching the phone a bit tight. And I had similar issues if I was trying to shoot a photo as well. Sometimes my fingers would just intrude on the corners here and I wouldn't actually be able to tap that shutter button to take a photo. Thankfully, I suffered no such problems when I was gaming on the likes of Genshin Impact. That all worked perfectly. One of my concerns as far as the design goes is the fact you've got Gorilla Glass Victus covering that display. No screen protector slapped on there either, but after a week still no scratches or scuffs, which I'm slightly surprised by. There's certainly other Victus phones that I've reviewed in the past. They're pleasingly shatter resistant, but they do tend to scratch up a little bit too easily. I'd still highly recommend slapping a screen protector on though, just in case. And this phone is IP68 water and dust resistant, so a wee bit of extra peace of mind if you drop it in a puddle or your pint or whatever. And as always with Motorola, I've been enjoying that stock Android vibe. It's similar to the Pixel experience, albeit without some of the AI shenanigans like Circle to Search. Although some of those other AI tools have been bunged on here, like the recorder transcription feature for instance. Now you can also get the Edge 50 Ultra to spaff out a variety of those batshit bonkers AI wallpapers, or even create your own from any pattern that you spy in real life. This can be quite fun to piss about with, even if it doesn't always work as well as you'd hope. It's going to stick with the nerdy anime stuff, I think. And for everyone who's wondering where I get my papers, wall.alphacoders.com, wall.alphacoders.com, that's where my wallpapers come from, wall.alphacoders.com. Now I've got to say, I have unfortunately experienced a fair few wee irritations, shall we say, using the Moto Edge 50 Ultra as my full-time phone this past week, ranging from slight ball twinges all the way up to full-on ball aches. So for one, there is the lock screen. Now if you actually try and get your notifications to display in list form, they simply will not show up. You can only actually get them to appear as simple icons at the bottom of the screen there, which means you'll still have to actually unlock your smartphone to see who's been messaging you. And yes, I did check in the privacy settings, made sure that notifications could be fully displayed on the lock screen, yada yada, didn't seem to help. And Motorola still flat out refuses to have a proper full-on always on display on its Edge smartphones as well, which goes beyond a ball ache. It's a full-on throbbing pain in the rectal region. And the best you can do is have the screen briefly flash on if you give it a tap or move it about the place, or when a notification pops through. You've also got that Edge Light and Notifications Light style feature. And also that media widget in the notifications bar is completely balked, often displaying a completely different album to what is actually playing at the time. And Netflix occasionally goes completely wacko and just kind of does its own thing, skipping through a show like it's got the attention span of a 3-year-old. So just a few wee bugs, although no worse than what you get on most iPhones at launch, to be perfectly fair. Hopefully Motorola will absolutely obliterate them soon. However, there are also increasing amounts of crapware infiltrating these Motorola smartphones these days. Used to be pretty bare bones back in the day, but now you've got the likes of Booking.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the usual serial offenders slapped on here. Quite a few crappy games as well, Bingo Blitz, whatever on earth that is, Woodoku. But as always, I do appreciate all the bonus features that Motorola has chucked on top of Android, including all the quick gesture support, and the new and improved gaming mode, which I will bang on about later. And as usual, they've put on a decent selection of their own apps as well, which are well worth a squint. So for instance, there is Moto Secure. This can scan your Edge 50 Ultra, make sure there's no issues. You've got the likes of phishing detection and network protection, both of which can help keep you safe online if you're joining any unsecure Wi-Fi networks, for instance, going to any dodgy websites. Not that you'd do that, obviously. And then there's Family Space, which is similar to Google's Family Link shenanigans, allowing you to limit your kids' screen time or keep tabs on their whereabouts by tracking their devices to make sure they're not hiding in the wheelie bin again instead of going to school. Kids, eh? And then there's Smart Connect, which allows you to wirelessly pair your phone with your laptop, so you can share files or use your phone's camera as a webcam, all kinds of clever bollocks stuff. When it comes to keeping this thing fresh though, Motorola is still only guaranteeing 3 years of Android OS updates, which isn't particularly cack, but it's not as good as quite a lot of rivals like Samsung and Google. Now that curvy screen is a 6.67-inch POLED panel with a Super HD 1220p resolution, and certainly few complaints there. You've got 10-bit color and HDR10 Plus support, although colors do look a little bit muted in the default natural mode. Personally, I preferred the alternative vivid mode, just makes those visuals pop a bit more, really slap you in the face. And there's still no HDR streaming reported in Netflix, no idea how long we'll be waiting for that one. But I can't really complain about the visuals, the contrast is nice and crisp. And that screen maxes out at 2500 nits, so I've had absolutely no problems seeing the display clearly outdoors, even with shades on. And in lower light, it dims right down for an easy on the eyes experience as well. Sometimes it dims down a little bit too much, in fact, in the evenings. Occasionally I do have to manually bump it back up a wee bit just so I can clearly read tiny text, etc. And that refresh rate maxes out at 144 Hz for supported apps. Those stereo speakers are loud and punchy with some respectable bass as well, so they're ideal for watching YouTube, say, in some noisy outdoor type situation. And say you're playing a bit of music on Spotify while also getting your Genshin Impact on, well, when you pull out those volume controls, the Edge 50 Ultra will supposedly allow you to individually adjust the volume for those apps, so you can boost Spotify right up and knock Genshin down, for instance. Get your own heavy metal soundtrack on the go and also mute some of those god-awful characters. Only problem being it doesn't really work the way it's supposed to, so even if you knock Genshin Impact all the way down to 0, you can still hear it in the background. And if you do want to carry around a large media collection, well, there's no microSD memory card support here, but who honestly gives a toss, because Motorola has generously chucked on a full terabyte of storage. I don't think it'll be running out of space anytime soon. Now, performance comes courtesy of Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8S Gen 3, backed by 16 gigs of RAM. And this isn't the best Qualcomm chipset around right now, which is a shame considering this is a super premium flagship device. But the 8S Gen 3 is more than good enough for anything you want to do. Even pretty meaty games like Genshin Impact play really well, even on the most punishing graphic settings, with Motorola's turbo mode active. I did see some slowdown here and there while I was gaming, but overall it is a pretty smooth experience, especially given that the 8S Gen 3 uses an older Adreno GPU. And even if you say bollocks to it and get gaming all afternoon long, the Motorola Edge 50 Ultra doesn't get any more warm than a Little Chef ham and cheese toasty, i.e. tepid at best. And yet you've got that usual Motorola gaming mode on here as well, but it is new and improved for this generation. It's got a great selection of features on here, including of course the turbo performance mode, which I'd highly recommend for the likes of Genshin. All the usual support for blocking calls and notifications. You can quickly and easily tweak the screen brightness without having to drag down the notifications bar. Good bit of screen capture action as well, and this gaming toolbar fully customizable as well, so you can remove any bits you don't want. Motorola has stuffed a 4500 mAh capacity battery inside of that slender chassis, and the Edge 50 Ultra has bedded in nicely this past week. Now, first day was a wee bit of a struggle, but beyond that, been absolutely fine. In fact, I've staggered to bed with generally at least 30% battery remaining in that tank, unless I've been absolutely hammering the likes of Genshin Impact, doing a lot of video calls, something like that. And if you find it does need a wee boost at any point, well, no worries there whatsoever. 125 watt wired charging support, which absolutely shits all over the likes of the Galaxy S24 Ultra, the Pixel 8 Pro, any iPhone out there, from a pretty great height. So bung a cable in there for just 10 minutes, you've got hours and hours of playtime. You've even got yourself some 50 watt wireless charging support as well. So this is one area where the Edge 50 Ultra certainly has the edge over a lot of other flagships beyond the likes of the Xiaomi's and the Honors of this world. And let's finish up this lovely wee Motorola Edge 50 Ultra review with a squint at the camera tech, headed up by a 50 megapixel main shooter. Motorola didn't actually specify which sensor it's using in all of its various briefings, but according to various online teardowns, it's the Omnivision OV50H, which has been used in quite a few flagship smartphones in 2024. Unfortunately, I did immediately notice that with the Edge 50 Ultra, you've got the same issue with the Edge 50 Pro, where you tap the shutter button, open up the gallery, you'll see the image takes ages to process, and then it's completely different to the one that you expected to get. I was really hoping this wouldn't be a problem here on the Edge 50 Ultra, but hey-ho, basically when you're shooting a living subject like a cat, a kid, whatever, you just want to just keep tapping that shutter button to get as many pictures as possible. Hopefully you'll capture the exact moment you wanted. But even discounting this, sadly this phone isn't as good as the Pixels and some other flagship rivals for snapping pets and offspring. If there's even slight movement, then you're in risk of blurry results that'll end up straight in the virtual skip. Plus that focus is far from reliable. Some kind of eye tracking for photos would have probably helped, as quite a lot of my snaps came out looking rather soft even when my fuzzy mate here wasn't bouncing around like his nipples were ablaze. Color capture has apparently been certified by Pantone as true to nature, and as you can see, the Edge 50 Ultra did a good job with my skin tone, which Pantone would probably refer to as slightly sour milk. You've got a choice between natural and auto enhance when you're shooting photos, but as auto enhance requires a longer exposure time and this thing already struggles with motion, I just left it on natural for most of the time. Low light snaps usually come out pretty bloody good, as long as again there's no moving bits to contend with. Even harsh contrast doesn't perturb the Motorola Edge 50 Ultra, and those colours are pleasingly natural. And of course you've got a couple of other lenses slapped on here, including the obligatory 50 meg ultra wide angle shooter. And as long as you don't mind less natural colour reproduction, this is a good one to swap to when you're shooting something ruddy massive. Or alternatively, you've also got yourself a 64 meg telephoto shooter with 3x optical zoom. And Motorola has apparently employed an AI upscaler to sharpen the image when you zoom in rather far. Though as usual, once you pinch in beyond the sort of 15-ish times zoom level, things start to get rather hazy. And by that 100 times maximum zoom level, everything looks like some sort of murky surrealistic watercolour. And as usual, there is a dedicated macro mode as well if you fancy getting some really up-close snaps. And video can be recorded at up to 4K resolution at either 30 or 60 frames per second. And I found that even my Ultra HD 60fps footage looked pretty smooth when I was moving and shooting at the same time. You can zoom in while capturing video and it's a pretty smooth response. Although I did once again find that the focus struggled at times with any nearby subjects, throwing out some rather soft looking footage. Thankfully, no such issues with the audio capture, that's all spot on. And then yes, flip around to the front end, you've got a 50 megapixel selfie camera with autofocus as well. This generally works fine, even at night time, helped along by the usual screen flash shenanigans. Those portrait smarts are pretty good, and even with nasty backlighting, your face will still look bright enough without blanching your colour. Although yes, as we've ascertained, I have no colour to blanch. And if you want to touch up your photos before sharing them with the world, you do have Google's Magic Editor on here. This can help to touch up your photos on your behalf. Alternatively, you can select a subject and then move them around the place, make them ridiculously huge, whatever you fancy. And that right there in a tasty wee nutshell is my full final frank review of the Motorola Edge 50 Ultra. And there were some bits on here that I really liked, mostly Motorola's own apps which is chucked on there. And the performance and the battery life have been pretty solid as well, even though Motorola hasn't gone with Qualcomm's Billy Big Bollocks 8 Gen 3. However, still quite a few wee quirks on here that I'd like to see sorted out sooner rather than later, and that camera tech simply isn't as capable or dependable as many rivals like the Pixel and the OnePlus 12. Anywho, that's what this bold northern twonk reckons. It'd be great to hear your thoughts on the Motorola Edge 50 Ultra down in the comments below. Please do poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a really wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone. Love you.